prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
And shit, it was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny, because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling, for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao.
Yes, Manny, you can't come out of retirement because this guy is so bad. Like, that fired him up a little bit, and then he goes in the ring and he does nothing. He goes in the ring and, like, I thought it was an embarrassing performance from a 30-year-old champion.
Shannon Sharpe criticizes the WBC after Manny Pacquiao was denied a clear win against Mario Barrios. He believes the fight was dull, and Barrios didn't show the urgency expected from a younger fighter. Despite Pacquiao's dominant performance, the judges ruled it a draw, which Sharpe sees as another example of boxing favoring marketable names. For him, it's proof that the sport has shifted from fair competition to pure business decisions.
What do you think about the overall matchup?
Everything, man. I watched him train like last week or the week before, and amazing to see him still move and bounce and do all the same things that he was doing in camp years ago when I was with him. So he's still locked in. He's still him, Crazy, but he is. You know what they say, man. The last thing to go is that power.
Mario Barrios' recent track record has sparked major discussions within the boxing world. His last 2 fights, both ending in draws, have created a sense of unease among fans and analysts. The latest clash against Manny Pacquiao in particular stirred controversy, as many believed Manny was the clear victor.
Prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
This has led to growing skepticism, with supporters suggesting something suspicious may be happening behind the scenes. For Pacquiao fans, the night was a celebration of his enduring skill and spirit, but for Barrios' supporters, it was a disappointing performance that only benefited from a favorable judge's decision. The result left a bitter taste, overshadowing what could have been a defining night in boxing.
I think Manny's always been good at that, and my son really pointed it out perfectly. He was still good at it. He was still good at it. I think he was stealing some rounds at the end. Whether he deserved them or he didn't deserve them, whatever. They were close rounds. He might have stole them on the judge's cards. What we shouldn't forget is he's a special guy, and he put a special performance. I never saw calves on the legs of somebody that big. I mean, it's incredible. I thought early on he stumbled a little bit. I thought his legs were stumbling a little bit, like you might see in a 46-year-old, a little bit. But at the end, they got the act together. He used them pretty good. He used them pretty damn good. What I think he also did was maybe a little bit of, I think the word illusion is too powerful, but I'd say a little misleading, where he threw those real fast punches like my son said. They weren't quality punches like they used to be, where there was real impact and real power at the end of them. They were more like just quick punches. And they weren't all being impactful. They weren't all landing clean. Some did, but they weren't all landing clean. And they definitely weren't landing with real power. They really weren't.
Criticism against Mario Barrios intensified following his lackluster showing in the ring. Despite the official draw, many viewers felt that he was clearly outclassed. Barrios appeared hesitant and passive, failing to mount any meaningful offense throughout the fight. He threw too few punches and lacked the aggression expected from a fighter at his level. Observers noted that even if the bout wasn't officially scored as a loss, Barrios' failure to assert himself made it feel like a moral defeat. Meanwhile, Pacquiao looked sharper, more prepared, and more driven. The controversial result seemed to shield Barrios from a rightful loss, igniting outrage and disbelief among fans.
Have you spoken to Manny recently? I know you're friends with him.
No, I haven't spoken to him, no.
What would you want to see him do next?
Fight Floyd Mayweather or Gervonta Tank.
You think he beats Tank, near prime Tank Davis?
We'll see. Styles make fights, so we just don't know.
What about Mayweather versus Pacquiao too?
Yeah, that'll be a good fight. Yeah, Manny is still active. So.
Okay.
Renowned trainer Robert Garcia added weight to the ongoing debate by offering a blunt perspective on the controversy. He emphasized that boxing today operates less like a sport and more like a business. Garcia suggested that economic considerations now drive decisions, especially in high-profile bouts. Younger fighters like Barrios are seen as future investments, and their marketability often takes priority over merit. Garcia argued that Pacquiao winning at age 46 doesn't provide long-term value for promoters, and that could be a reason why decisions seem to tilt against him.
That's not what happened. Barrios was so tentative in this fight. He was essentially standing there for some of the exchanges. Manny Pacquiao came out and did what Manny Pacquiao does. By the way, credit to Manny. At 46, he still had some feet. He was moving, dancing on Mario Barrios. He was throwing combination punches going forward on Mario Barrios. And when he wasn't doing that, he was countering Mario Barrios, who looked like a stick in the mud. He looked like he couldn't even get out of first gear because Manny was hitting with combinations. Were they hurting super bad? Maybe not. Some of them definitely were. Had a mouse under the eye of Mario Barrios, but others were just flurries, and they were keeping Barrios at bay. And when Barrios was throwing one, Pacquiao was throwing three. When Barrios would throw out his jab, Manny would counter with his lead right hand, stepping on the inside plane, doing all the old Manny shit. It was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao, but two, just how great he was. 8 division world champion, started his career at 106, I think, comes up to 147. What are we talking about?
Adding another layer to the discussion, a veteran known as the Goose expressed concerns over repeated injustices in Pio's career. He highlighted that controversial judging is nothing new in boxing, but questioned why it so often happens to Manny specifically. Drawing from past examples, he suggested that Pac may be targeted because of his background. Manny Pacquiao's background as an Asian fighter, rather than a British or American one, has raised concerns about bias in boxing's judging system. The Goose, a U.S. Army veteran, voiced what many fans have felt for years, that Pacquiao is often treated unfairly compared to Western fighters. His sentiments struck a chord with viewers who believe Manny's global success hasn't shielded him from discrimination. In their eyes, he's consistently judged more harshly, despite his accomplishments. This perception of unequal treatment has added to the frustration surrounding recent decisions and fueled ongoing debates about fairness and integrity in the sport.
Manny Pacquiao crazy for coming back and fighting is because they don't understand what's going on in Manny Pacquiao's life. When a fighter is 46 years old, he doesn't just come back to fight a top fighter because he just wants to fight a top fighter. When he's going through that, that's what's brought him to that place in the first place. And that is having what we call bandwidth extension. He's totally scattered his brain and lost so much money over the course of time. And the same thing that happens when you get a paycheck and you start spending, and because you get shiny object syndrome, you want to get the new watch, you want to get the new gear, you want to eat at the restaurant, you want to go spend money. That's shiny object syndrome. And you can't get it under control the same way that Manny Pacquiao did. He couldn't get things under control. So therein lies the situation where all of that money that he's made, hundreds of millions of dollars, just burnt. And now you got to fight. But if you really stop focusing on the symptom and start concentrating on the root of this thing, and the root of this thing is bandwidth, shiny object syndrome, trying to be so relevant in so many different scenarios. You want to train, you want to run this other business, you want to do this, you got this great idea. And it all boils down to the term that I use all the time, and that's compensatory control, laser focus. Get one idea, follow through with that idea. You got to have a plan in order to do it. And that's how you get to from here to here. That's when you're 46, you don't have to fight anymore. And that is my message today. Just understand why you're scattered. Understand why you can't get anything going all the way through. You can never finish that thought process and execute the plan. And therefore, you continue to find yourself in a situation where you're desperate. You're trying to find a way to get back to where you were, which is even. But if you stay locked in and concentrate on the compensatory control factor of your life, which is doing everything that you think of every single day the exact same way, and I take 1 minute and go to that playlist.
Bobby Pacquiao, Manny's brother, added to the growing list of voices, expressing confusion and disappointment over the draw. He admitted that he was stunned by the result, unable to understand what the judges had seen to justify it. Still, he acknowledged that they have no option but to accept the ruling, even if it felt completely unjust. For Bobby, the outcome didn't match what he witnessed in the ring. He believed Manny had done more than enough to secure a clear win. His words captured the emotions of many fans, frustrated but resigned to the reality of modern boxing.
When I became a world champion, then I realized that this is the time that I can help my family. Before that, we don't have food to eat in one day. We just drink a lot of water to survive. And I remember one time, my young brother is 5 years old back then, and he was crying like in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon. He's crying because he's hungry. He's asking for food. We don't eat breakfast. We don't eat lunch. He don't understand what is. When you're telling him no money, we have no money to buy food, and he's crying like, "Mom, I'm hungry." Like he's crying. And then I look to my mom and look at his eyes, and it's the tear flow in his eyes, and then I feel so sad and like. Of course, I'm crying also because hungry. We drink water just to survive. That's our past, so that's why I always told them that, Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao, but I don't have the right to become arrogant, to become boastful. I want to stay humble because we've been there. We came from nothing.
Before stepping into the ring, there were serious concerns about whether Manny Pacquiao could still compete at a high level. Many believe that at 46 he would struggle against a younger and more active fighter like Barrios. However, Pacquiao defied expectations. He moved with precision, timed his punches effectively, and displayed sharp footwork that belied his age. His conditioning and awareness throughout the bout impressed even the most skeptical observers. Rather than becoming a sad chapter in his career, the fight became a moment of redemption, proof that he still belongs among boxing's elite and deserves respect for his enduring excellence.
Derecha, swing y derecha. No. Tira los golpes largos, men. Porque si da paso ya te pega mucho.
No, quédate atrás, men. No te quedas ahí, quédate ahí parado ahí donde tú estabas.
Boxing Doctor News, Manny Pacquiao's next potential opponent is Rolly Romero, the WBA welterweight champ. Romero is under the same promotion, has the belt, and can sell a fight. He's eager to face Pacquiao, saying, "A Hall of Famer on my resume. Who wouldn't want that?" After Pacquiao's draw with Barrios, his advisor sees Romero as the favorite for Manny's next bout. Romero has knockout power and isn't afraid to bring the heat. Is this the explosive matchup fans have been waiting for?
The decision to rule Manny Pacquiao's fight against Mario Barrios, a draw, sparked immediate backlash from the boxing world. Experts, retired professionals, and respected analysts voiced their frustration across television, podcasts, and social media. Many of them watched the bout closely and concluded that Pacquiao was clearly the more effective and dominant fighter. Throughout the contest, they pointed to his cleaner punches, sharper timing, and control of the ring, qualities that should have earned him a clear victory. What frustrated many even more was the growing pattern of controversial decisions that seemed to favor younger, marketable fighters. For them, the judges' scorecards weren't just wrong, they were a reflection of a broken system. Some analysts began calling for significant changes in how fights are scored, including the introduction of more transparency or technological oversight. The idea that public consensus and expert analysis could be so far removed from the official outcome raised questions about integrity. Pacquiao's performance at age 46 should have been celebrated as a rare display of skill and determination. Instead, the draw became another example of how questionable judging continues to damage the sport's reputation and alienate loyal fans who simply want fairness in the ring.
And we will see what transpires, but all these people out here saying that the fight was fixed, a lot of these people were not fans of Manny Pacquiao. When that whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation was going on with the steroids allegation, the needles, and the back and forth between the Pac-Tars, as they called them back in the day, and the Mayweather fans, a lot of those fans still hold grudges towards Manny Pacquiao. I guarantee if that was Mayweather that was fighting Mario Barrios coming into that fight after a long layoff, all them people would have said Mayweather had a chance, Mayweather gonna win, become champion once again. Mayweather's levels above Mario Barrios even at that age. And Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. But those same people wasn't giving Pacquiao no chance to defeat an average fighter in Mario Barrios. And that's what I base my pick on, that Mario Barrios is average. some people that's Tank Davis fans, you know, they want to blow up Mario Barrios into something that he really ain't. Because really before the Tank fight, we talking about Mario Barrios right now. Before the Tank fight, he took on a guy by the name of Ahmad Daliev. He lost that fight. And he took a beating from that fight. And Mario Barrios really ain't never been the same from that fight. Go back and watch that fight. That was the fight before the Tank fight. Now, a lot of people say, well, he was looking good in the Tank fight. He was winning early in the Tank fight. That was a fact of Tank going up in weight, fighting a much bigger guy on fight night. Look at the difference in size. Not only we ain't just looking at the height, but he was just a much bigger guy.
Respected voices from across the boxing world took to social media and sports platforms to express their disappointment. These weren't just casual viewers. Many were retired professionals, journalists, and analysts who took the time to examine the bout in detail. Frame-by-frame analysis showed that Pacquiao landed cleaner punches, controlled the pace, and demonstrated superior ring generalship. The numbers and visuals favored him. Yet, the decision didn't. This disconnect between what experts saw and what the judges ruled fueled the argument that judging standards need urgent reform. The frustration wasn't about a single fight. It was about how often the sport seems to ignore its own realities.
With the draw?
No.
Because, like...
Weird rounds,
yeah,
hard to score.
Yeah, Pacquiao did better than I thought he did. And that's like, we get into that weird territory in boxing where you start grading on a curve. That's not how boxing works. And I was like, oh, Pacquiao's doing better. He's probably winning. Oh, he won. But no, he probably didn't. And a draw he's probably lucky to get a draw.
Yeah, as I was watching it and scoring it, and I was in the live chat with people, and there was just so many rabid Pacquiao fans that were like, every time he did anything, first of all, anytime he did anything in the arena, the place went absolutely bonkers. Like it was going to tear down. Honestly, he probably fought 50 to 60 seconds around. He did not do much. He didn't need to because Barrios didn't step on the gas pedal at all at any point. He was so listless and just kind of like ho-humming through it. So Pacquiao was able to steal moments, and he did a really good job of stealing the end of rounds and making an exclamation point. And also, we saw flashes of the Manny of old when he would have that little like the flourishing signature in the end of something. He'd make that little movement, bang, he'd pop that left hand, he'd fly out, boom, 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 boom. He'd make those little moves, he'd do the fancy feet, and you would be like, but really nothing happened. He didn't land a lot of punches. Like, it wasn't like anything really effective, but it got everybody emotional. It got everybody, and whereas Barrios was the exact opposite. Everything he did was so workmanlike. He has zero charisma. He has no sell on anything he does. He just lacked passion. I know he's Aztec warrior, but where was the passion? Where was the exchanging? Where was the biting down on my mouthpiece and going for it? So there was a lot of opportunities based on how both guys fought for Manny to actually steal rounds because Mario wasn't selling it. Pacquiao was. The crowd was behind him. But yes, when you do it, you're looking at it almost like you're almost comparing Pacquiao to Pacquiao. You're being like, oh, he fought really good for a 46-year-old. He didn't fight really good for a 12-round main event champion. He fought really good for a 46-year-old Pacquiao. So you get that idea in your head, like, oh man, he's doing so good, but is he really, or are you just voting for the guy that you like better?
Like nostalgia is a hell of a joke, and we were all high on Saturday night.
This fight was more than just another event for Manny Pacquiao. It was a chance to edge his name even deeper into boxing history. A win at 46 would have placed him alongside legendary figures like George Foreman, who staged remarkable comebacks late in their career. Pacquiao came in as the underdog, carrying the weight of age and expectations. Yet he delivered a performance that defied both. His timing, movement, and sheer determination reminded everyone of the greatness that has defined his career. Sadly, the controversial result denied him that historic recognition. What could have been a defining chapter was instead turned into yet another reminder of how unpredictable and flawed boxing's judging system can be.
The most surprising result from last night was 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao going 12 rounds and drawing against the WBC champion. And the craziest part of all of it might be that Manny Pacquiao might have been robbed. I generally think that Manny Pacquiao might have won the fight. He looked great. He looked sharp, especially for being a 46-year-old. And this is why I told you guys that Manny Pacquiao's mentality is different. His passion for boxing is unmatched. This is why he's one of the GOATs. From what we saw, we can see that he really put in a lot of work because in his last fight, I believe it was 5 years ago, he didn't look good. He looked slow. He looked like a 46-year-old or a 40-year-old because he was 40 years old back then. But he didn't look good, but he looked great. I feel if the rematch happens against Mayweather, which would honestly be an amazing fight because they're both old now, so they don't have any excuse of being like, oh, this guy's past his prime. They're both past their prime. They're both old. But if it happens, I think Manny Pacquiao wins. Floyd Mayweather hasn't fought, and he doesn't have the same amount of passion. He fought Logan Paul and Deji, but this guy fought an actual WBC champion and looked great and could have possibly beat him. He said he's not going to stop boxing, and he honestly has no reason why to stop. Now, obviously, I don't think he's like a top 10 boxer right now, or like currently whatever, but he can hold his own. If he went against someone like Gervonta Davis, yes, he'd get murdered, but there's a lot of fighters that he can go toe-to-toe with right now. I don't know, Fall for Sport content, we're about to hit 1,000.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next